This is logbook number 4. So my goal for these next 2 weeks is to look at my emotional content, mostly because I keep looking at everyone else and not myself, which is always an ongoing problem, but I really do need to look at that and work on that. And so that's like my main goal. There's a couple of other things that I want to clean up, especially the opening sequence. Now that we've got the bath, I think it'd be cool. Now we can start choreographing how that's gonna go, and stuff like that. So that I think that's but yeah, that's my main goal. Creative ideas that I've had. There was a couple of things. I think there was a few ideas that I had with the bath, but then they never really fell through. Mostly criticisms, to be honest, because we were talking about taking the dressing gown off of Lucas and then him being in his towel, trying to remove the towel whilst he gets down into the bath. But then they were like, oh, we'll pick him up and drag him out after. And I was like, well, then everyone's going to see his shorts and it ruins the we thought he was naked kind of thing. So I said about carrying the bath off with him in it, but everyone kind of didn't hear me say that, even though I said it a few times. But that's fine, it will be an issue for later and I'm sure Lydia will correct it, so I'm not actually too bothered. But I was talking about as well making Electra more crazy. She screams a lot of things like help me when she's like in the circle, she's screaming out, or gathered at my father's door and stuff like that, where she's just shouting random crap. I think that she needs to be so much more crazy, and I did give her that feedback as well. And like pacing between people, almost like with ADHD, where she's going and then she looks, and she's going and then she looks at the next person who's saying something. So it's kind of like a weird attention thing, right? This was something that me and Mies came up with together, but I thought that was quite a cool idea and quite a cool concept. I would add more of my creative ideas, but honestly there's a lot and I don't tend to write them down. I write some of them down because they're in feedback, but a lot of them I completely forget about, but it's fine. For the physical theatre, there was a lot. Like, Lydia asked me to choreograph that and I'm fine with choreographing it. It's brilliant, it's fine. It's for the chorus's monologue it's not really a monologue, it's a few paragraphs, but still. It's on page 39. It says why when we observe the birds up above, we see how with sure intelligence they provide sustenance for those who do something for us. I don't know. That. I started doing that last week. Started looking at it last week and putting it together. There's a lot of issues though, because I think like last year we were really physical theatre heavy. I just assumed that everyone was going to be fine with that. I was wrong. Basically, like, Lottie and Trinity are both brilliant at it, and so is George C, actually. Like, really, really good. They know what they're doing, you give it to them and they do it, and it's great. But there's a couple of other people who have issues with it. And then there was this whole thing where I took them into the dance studio because I was like, oh, we need to use the mirrors so that we can look and see how our bodies are moving and how they're moving together. So I started that, and then I said to everyone, like, look, you've had a weekend, have you learned the script off by heart? And they went, no. And I was like, what? Like, actually, are you joking? George M then decided to have a hissy, and I went, you know what? It's not my job. I'm not wasting any more time on it. I know that Lydia gave this to me, but you guys, I've given you what I can. I've choreographed it and I've given it to you. You now need to do the rest. So I said to Lottie, like, you're taking control here. I'm leaving. I did. Then there was a huge fight. Like, George M started shouting at Matthew, which was just, as a second year, like, I'm actually really ashamed of him and really disappointed. He shouldn't. And it was that I heard the whole story and it's not reasonable. So that was really upsetting, and Matthew's so sweet and cute. He doesn't deserve that. Anyway, with the way that went, I was like, I think this is going to be pulled because it doesn't look good. They're not off script and people keep fighting about it. We went to go do like a full run through and it got pulled. And I was like, thank you, I knew this was gonna happen. Everyone was like, oh, Rose, you must be really sad because you worked hard on that. I was like, I'm so glad that no one's gonna see it, because if they do see it, I'd have to take credit for it, and I don't want to. It wasn't good. There was things that were good that I liked about it and I had creative ideas for, and the movements sort of correlated, and that was great. And I liked the physical theatre piece, but it was more a casting issue than a choreography issue, I think, personally. But then that might just be me being biased. Who knows? So stuff that I've worked on and developed over the last couple of weeks is my use of breath and being able to talk about melodrama more, I think. So my use of breath has gotten better. As I said, I've been like backstage before I enter. I did it before the last scene as well to try and add to that. Also, another thing that I thought helped, and I don't know whether anyone clocked on, it probably looks quite stupid, but ugly crying face really helps me build up emotion. Like when I'm sat on the floor and I'm like, it helps me get into the place where I need to be, because my brain's like, your face is doing this, you should start doing this, you should start feeling really crap. And so I do, and then it works and it adds. But yeah, talking about melodrama, like teaching melodrama more, because I think it's different. Like last year as first years, we got workshops on like melodrama, naturalism, like we went over this thing with Steve Harvey. No, it's not Steve Harvey, Simon Harvey from Falmouth University. He taught us about the difference between like naturalism, over the top, and then melodrama. There's like 3 stages of how big things can get, and so we went through that with the chorus. And I actually, like, I know I lead, and I know it's not really like a personal skill that I've developed, but I think being able to portray that and talk more about the different stylistic qualities that we're using in this piece, and showing the first years that not only are they meant to be included in your theory work, but they obviously are going to be included in your practical work. Like, it's here. And so pointing them out helped me, not only like helped them sort of like understand where they were with their acting skills and what they were trying to achieve, but it helped me understand where the stylistic qualities were being brought in and what I was doing. And so in a way, I sort of learned more from teaching, which I think is pretty brilliant. So for my production role, I finished the plan for the street. I've got balloons. I'm thinking balloons, streamers, not like streamers like ribbons, like gold. I have gold ribbon, but I put it one place and it disappears, and then like a week later I find it again. So that's really fun. But fairy lights, balloons, ribbon, everything. I think it's going to be really, really cute, really brilliant, and I just think that would work. So that's kind of my plan for that. And then I've also got the bath and the mattress. I sourced them on Facebook Marketplace, told Lydia, she got them picked up, which meant we can now devise the bath scene and we can have the bed scene without the bed exploding because it hasn't got a mattress on it. So that's really cool, and I'm chuffed with that. I do need to paint that bath though, because it looks really minging. So I'm thinking about how I'm going to make it look better. Feedback I got, it was like a little added scene in the first scene where Chrysophimus is talking to Electra. It's at the beginning of Electra's monologue to Chrysophimus. It's just to enter stage, grab Mies and push her into Electra. It says something like, I find it funny how you forget your father, but your sole concern is for your mother. Everything you do is things that she's taught you, or something about your morals align with like Clytemnestra's. So I enter then and push her, and it's like kind of like almost like a vision-y thing, but not a vision-y thing. So that was a bit of feedback. Also, evil walk after the killing. So like after I kill Agamemnon, I'm in an emotional state, and because I'm still trying to build up my character and figure out where she is, I have been neglecting being evil. Which is basically most of my feedback at the minute. So I figured out to do the evil walk after, but I kind of fought this, and I feel really bad about it because there's nothing worse than an actor who won't take feedback or will disagree with feedback. Like, I know It's the most annoying thing. But I did it and I feel really shit about it now. Or I feel really bad about it now. Basically, Lydia's saying that I need to be more, like, Clytemnestra is more horrible, she's more evil, but through, like, my research and my understanding of her, I found that she is just misunderstood. And so I'm really struggling to make her evil because I'm holding on to this fact that, like, she is a good person, when really, like, she's an okay person, but she has a lot of things going on. She definitely has a bit of evil there, but I just refuse to believe it. So I fought that feedback for a while, but then I started applying it, making her more rude, and then having her emotional in some points. So when Electra and Clytemnestra are having that argument in scene 2, there's moments where Clytemnestra is awful and horrible, but there's moments where you can see her vulnerability. When Electra's talking to her, you can see her vulnerability and her annoyance, because I've come up with the theory, like, the reason why Clytemnestra hates Electra so much is because Electra's constantly reminding her of the things that she hates about herself and the things that she doesn't really want to think about because they already haunt her. Like, she had that vision because it was haunting her, because she's emotionally traumatized, right? But also, like, in the first scene, it's all about Electra's point of view. So I've sort of portrayed Clytemnestra in 2 different lights, but in the first scene more so, I've portrayed her as, like, this evil B-word of a character, like, really, really awful person who's really nasty and stuck up and just struts around the place as if she owns it, she does. And then as it comes into the second scene, I've sort of tried to get this sort of vulnerable side showing a little bit more to show, like, that she does have this dimension in her character, and that she is a bad person, but she has stuff going on that leads to that in a way. So there's, like, a moment, there's been a couple of times where I've gone through my monologue in the second scene, and I feel like it's not long enough and it doesn't explain enough, because I want to, like, whenever Electra's talking, I want to pitch in, I want to say stuff, and so I want to be like, you don't understand, and it's really killing me. So I've started to put that into my acting, and so she says something that I don't agree with, it clicks in my brain, and I go to say something, and then she cuts me off because it's a monologue, I can't talk anyway, but she cuts me off, or at least that's what it looks like. And I got feedback from Amelia, and she said that she really liked that. So I'm really happy with the way that I've been able to take this frustration of not being able to talk and put out my opinion and put it into gestures, facial expression, and body language to build this sort of dynamic between Electra and Clytemnestra, and then this dynamic to Clytemnestra's, like, character, and giving those different levels that the audience can then feed in on. And I know that no one's going to evaluate it as strongly as I have, but if there's good actors in the audience, which there should be because Sean's coming, they'll be able to notice, hopefully. And so it's just a little thing for me as an actor to develop, and for the audience to then pick up on and be like, oh, I get why she's done that now, because this happened to her, and that, like, everything has a ripple effect. Things that I think helped, like, activities that helped through this process. One is positivity warm-ups. We don't do them often enough, but I sort of led a couple and it went really well. And it led to just a better rehearsal experience in general, which was really good. But then I also brought back this other thing where basically, in having a ball last year, there was so much stress. There was so much stress because we were working with the dancers and we had all this stuff going on. And so I did a meditation session, which worked brilliantly, and I thought, you know what, I'll try it, and I did, and I got some really brilliant feedback, and people felt a lot better, and it led to a better rehearsal process again, and so that worked. But also I did a drunk workshop with the chorus. It was a brief thing, it was just in, like, a little bit of free time that we had, but it was just going over that when you're acting drunk, basically drunk people are acting as if they're sober, so when you're acting drunk, you're acting drunk, acting sober, but drunk. It's weird. But yeah, so that's something that I was trying to portray and get across. And then things that I've reflected on over these last few weeks, I feel like my facial expressions are better. I did get feedback from Mies, and she was saying that they are looking a lot better, which is my almost like my biggest insecurity, because I feel like my face is, I've got quite a round face and my eyes are very small in comparison to like everything else, and so I don't feel like I portray enough, and I feel like I need to like get bigger, and so I try, and I feel really insecure about it. But Amelia sort of said to me, like, actually your facial expressions are getting really good now. They're not perfect, but they're getting really good. And so I'm really happy that I can take that from the last few weeks, and then build it and make it better in these next few weeks. So that's really brilliant. And that's my logbook. I did go on a bit, sorry, but yeah, that's my logbook.